Welcome to Sex Positive Gaming. I'm Annie. As this is the 100th episode, I'm going to do things a little differently today. A little over a month ago, I asked my patrons what they most wanted me to do with this video, and they suggested that I take the time to talk about the channel and answer some of the most common questions I've had since February. So I'm going to talk about how the channel was created, answer some of your submitted questions, and cover some of the mistakes that I have made and things I've learned over the past 8 months. So one of the biggest questions I get is, why did I start the channel? Last year, I was really excited for the release of Cyberpunk 2077. And while the actual launch of the game was, let's call it underwhelming, I was surprised at how many journalists reviewing the game kept calling it sexually explicit. I mean, I played it and it honestly felt as tame or even tamer than scenes from the Witcher series from the same developer, Studio Project Red. Hell, it was tamer than scenes from the Dragon Age or Mass Effect series, and those are both over a decade old. Were these people clueless? Was I missing something? It turns out that there is a pretty big gap in how sexual content is covered in video games. Most people either claim to know nothing about anything sexual or cover it in a really over-the-top, pervy manner. Given the data for adult content consumption, the first group is probably lying, while the second group is... let's just say that I'm not their demographic. So what if people would just talk about video games with adult content in them just like they were normal? No pretending or being creepy, just normal. So that's basically how the channel started. Yes, this story is way longer than that, but I could spend the entire video just talking about this, and I want to get to other questions. Does my family know about the channel? Yeah, and they're really supportive. They help me work through ideas I have and help me vet videos I've made that I'm not sure about. My mom was even the one who came up with the "No Shaming, Just Gaming" slogan when we were brainstorming ideas. This is a YouTube channel and I want to keep it as safe for work as I possibly can and make sure that I reach as many people as I possibly can. And that leads to the next question, will you make more explicit videos? So, none of these platforms exist in a vacuum. I have my YouTube channel, my Patreon page, and a Twitter account. All of these companies have suspended, deplatformed, or banned people for things that were never on their platform. So I'm not going to do anything that is going to risk my channel or my message. Sorry. You all will have way more fun playing these games on your own anyways. However, I promise I'll keep trying to help you find new games that fit your flavor preferences. That actually reminds me of one of the biggest things that I've learned. With most video games, people care about a lot of different factors in what they choose to play. With these types of games, it is mostly about the flavor combinations. This makes sense because we all have flavors that we like, but for most of us, there are flavors that can cause a disgust response. Like, seriously, the topic of flavors and disgust responses could be a series of videos, but I have learned that letting you all know exactly what to expect flavor-wise in a game is really vital to helping you all make informed gaming decisions. And I'm going to make mistakes, and have in previous videos like my one about Mass Effect and consent. I had no idea how different everyone's real-life concept of consent is. I mean, people talk about it like it's a standard normal understanding, but if you ask 100 different people, you get 100 very, very different answers. I mean, it does make sense. This channel has viewers from all over the world, and 2/3 are watching from outside the US. Different countries have very, very different laws. There also seems to be drastically different opinions between different generations, and there is a really big age distribution viewing these videos. So I got a lot of justified pushback from many of you, and I absolutely should have been clearer about my position and more understanding towards alternate legal systems. I still think we should ban Mass Effect if we're going to ban Monster Girl Island, but that's probably because I don't think we should be banning fiction at all. The NTR videos I did got a lot of totally expected questions and criticisms as well, but there were also these amazing, in-depth, heartfelt emails and messages I got talking about the struggle that people have with this subject, their real-life relationships, and in some cases, their very sexuality. At first I was completely overwhelmed. I mean, who am I to talk about this kind of stuff? But then I realized that there is so much shame involved in this space that people don't feel like they can open up with their loved ones, or even therapists. So I can't give advice, but I am going to share with you all the things that I've learned from what people have shared with me without violating anyone's trust, because that's not cool. So we're taught heterosexual, homosexual, and bisexual. And heterosexual and homosexual are absolutely the most fundamental flavors. For most people, these matter the most, and there are oftentimes disgust responses associated with seeing what is not your preferred flavor. All these other flavors that we talk about matter, just not as much as these big two. Now, one of the reasons I don't use the terms kink or fetish is because they're often used for shaming, but also they are now both psychiatric and psychological terms that have nothing to do with the fictional video game content that I cover. If you can't tell fiction from reality, then please, address genocide simulators like Call of Duty before you come after Summertime Saga. So all of these flavors that you like and dislike make up your sexuality. Probably not as much as the homosexual and heterosexual flavors, but it matters. This is one of the reasons that people respond so strongly to NTR. You wouldn't tell a homosexual or heterosexual person to stop being that way, so why would you say the same to someone who likes any other flavor that you may find disgusting? Suppressing sexuality causes so many problems. Why would you deny a person a safe and healthy fictional outlet for their flavor preference? Another big question I get is how to talk to their boyfriend or girlfriend about their flavor preferences. Once again, I don't think the girl who reviews video games is the best choice for relationship advice. Here's what I can tell you. Communication, trust, and sex are some of the top reasons relationships fail. If you are too afraid to share your desires and needs with your partner, then you are in serious trouble. I think it is likely that your partner will have similar or compatible desires to your own. Why else would they be attracted to you in the first place? What is a compatible desire? Like a dominant and submissive, or a voyeur and an exhibitionist. I guarantee you that your partner has desires and wants of their own. Now, they could be ashamed or afraid of the desires themselves. Maybe you both actually want the same compatible flavors fulfilled and are both too afraid to share your needs, like in some sexuality version of the gift of the Magi. Regardless of what you end up doing, always remember to have safe and healthy outlets. And also remember that I review video games and feel much more comfortable talking about Princess Peach's fictional relationship with Bowser than talking about someone's real-life relationship with Doug Bowser. Sorry, Doug. And that leads us to what are my favorite games. I love most Mario games like the platformers and Mario Kart. I love farming games like Stardew Valley and Story of Seasons, and I also love RPGs like Skyrim, Persona 5, and Fire Emblem. As for games with adult content, there will be a video at the end of December where I go over all of my favorite games that I have played this year, as well as my pick for Game of the Year. I will say that all of those same looking Honey Select and Daz models really start to get tedious after a while, but I understand how much time and effort hand-drawn art is. I'm not shaming, but I do like variety. And of course there is the question, what is sex positivity? That is actually tricky because so many people use that phrase to judge or condemn people they disagree with. This just marginalizes people and suppresses discourse, and that is very dangerous and unhealthy. I do think that being able to talk about this content openly is so important to having a better society. It improves mental health and reduces crime and sexual violence. Yes, an excess of anything is dangerous, but so is the absence. Like, look at the 7 deadly sins. Gluttony is bad, but that doesn't mean that you don't eat. That is what sex-positive gaming means to me. Everyone having safe and healthy fictional outlets for their desires where they are not treated like shit for having those desires. So you're not really going to see me say that something is or is not sex-positive. Because, let's be fair, we live in a world where there are already more than enough people who are happy to do that. So those were all of the biggest questions that you all have asked. If you like, I am willing to do this more often, but I'm not really comfortable turning this into a relationship channel. Seriously, there were so many relationship questions. I mean, I think you're all awesome and I wish you happiness, but there have to be better resources for that than me. So keep sending in your requests, suggestions, and criticisms. I appreciate you all feeling comfortable enough with me to share your thoughts. I can't always reply to some of the YouTube comments because of the nature of YouTube, but there still is my Patreon, Discord channel, or email if it's a more sensitive issue. I am so thankful for all of your support, and I'm really looking forward to the next 100 episodes. Well, as long as I stay on YouTube's good side. Until next time, no shaming, just gaming. Thanks to all this month's supporters on Patreon. I wouldn't have been able to do this without you.